What if I told you the way you're living your day right now is the exact thing burning you out? Like waking up exhausted, running on adrenaline, pushing through your day, and still feeling like it's never enough. If that sounds like you, you're not alone. So many high performers are living in this constant low level stress, thinking this is just what success requires. Welcome back to the Higher Alignment Podcast. I'm Minty Lamb, and I help high performers and executives recover from burnout so they can feel energized, present, and actually enjoy the life they've worked so hard to build. And today, we're back with topic 3 of the High Performer Reset series. In this episode, I'm walking you through what my day-to-day actually looked like at the peak of my burnout, and I'm not holding anything back. The anxiety, the exhaustion, the overthinking, the constant pressure, it was all there. And by the end of this episode, you're going to start seeing exactly why you feel the way you do and why it's not just part of the job. So stick around because this might be the moment that things start to actually click for you. When I was preparing for today's episode, I was trying to put myself back in the shoes of Mintu 10 years ago. But I've never been a good prepper, at least not at this point in my life. I'm not a great prepper anymore because I find that I really want to just speak from the heart, especially when it comes to these podcasts, and speak from an intuitive place. So I just kind of trust that whatever comes out is exactly what you guys need to hear from this. So I couldn't for the life of me access Mintu 10 years ago because I'm gonna talk to you about my day to day and we're at topic 3 of the High Performer Reset series, and so I'm gonna compare my day to day from, again, call it 10 years ago approximately to what it is like now and the difference. And so trying to think about how I was back then, it was hard for me to access, A, because it's been a while. But B, I think I probably blocked it out just a little bit because it was such an exhausting time in my life. And it was just hard for me to go there. But, it also made me think about, I have a client and it's Shelby Harvey. I drop her name a lot on here because she's so wise and she's just had an incredible journey and it's been incredible to witness. But she said, somewhere along this way of this journey, she's like, I changed and I didn't know when it happened. She's like, when I first started working with you, Mintu, I thought I was going to work with you. And she's like, Mintu's going to fix me. She's like, and then what I've realized now is the shifts have happened so incrementally that it's like, she's like, one day I just woke up and realized I was different. And again, I couldn't even pinpoint when it happened. And that really is what this work is like. When you are looking for lasting transformation, not a quick fix, it will happen in microdoses. It's not all of a sudden you get zapped and boom, I'm a new person, because when that happens, it's usually not very sustainable long term. So you want it to happen gradually. And again, you almost want it to be like, shoot, it just, one day I woke up and here I was, right? So let's go back to Mintu again. Let's call it approximately 10 years ago. I would have been 27. That would have been when I was starting to really peak in my burnout. And man, that girl was living with a constant low level hum of anxiety. Okay. It's like I was running on pure fumes and adrenaline. That's the best way I can explain it, because I didn't even understand what it meant to break. I didn't think I needed a break. And not even break as in take a break. Break as in if you think of a car, gas brake, gas brake. I was just all gas, 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 which obviously if you drove a car and you never use a brake, you're going to crash, right? But I felt like that was the only speed I really knew. And it just, I had this low level anxiety that would just live within me. Okay. So if we're going through a day to day, I'm going to paint that picture of what a day to day in the life was for me at that time. But I guess we'll just start with the mornings. And I was exhausted. So I never got up early before my alarm. I was constantly snoozing. And I mean snoozing at least 3 times snoozing. So then you get to that point where okay, if I really have to be if my hard cutoff is I have to be out of bed by 7:45, then I'm going to start setting my alarm at 7:20, and then there's gonna be a 7:30, and then there's gonna be a 7:40, and then 7:45, by then I have to get out of bed. Like, I couldn't wake up before my alarm, and I could not wake up with just one alarm because my body was just so exhausted. And the reason it was so exhausted is my sleep was shit, like absolute crap. Like, I would only sleep through the night probably 3 nights out of the week, and that would be only because the night before was so bad. My body would be like, "Okay, you have to sleep now because we're literally running on fumes." So I'll kind of bring that full circle as to why my sleeps were so bad. But yeah, I would wake up and just be exhausted. And again, I would wake up and I would be like, fuck, I gotta do this again. And then I would also be like, is this it? Like, this is what I keep getting up for, to feel like this? I would be filled with dread. I would be filled with anxiety, but then I'd also be filled with this, like, you gotta get up and go. Let's go make something happen. Let's come on, let's go. So it was like, it wasn't motivation. It was just that my nervous system was stuck in fight or flight. And it was like, what are you gonna do here? Like, just get up and go. Meanwhile, my mind was saying get up and go. My body was being like, are you fucking kidding me? We're doing this again? Like, girl, can't you tell we need help? And so it was this like, that was creating more resistance in me when I needed to get up, because it's just like nothing was moving efficiently. Like, my machine was so out of whack that the mornings were so hard. And so I'd finally pull myself out of bed. I'd get up, I'd walk to the bathroom, I'd brush my teeth. My brushing my teeth was like my wake up signal. It's like, once I did that, it's like, now you actually have to get your day started, which this is like a side note. Like, I know there's some people who don't brush their teeth till after they have breakfast. And then I've always been the person to brush them first thing when I wake up in the morning. After breakfast actually like makes sense to me, because it's like, you're just going to get a bunch of crap on them anyways. So like, eat breakfast, brush, and then leave the house with a fresh mouth. But like, again, the brushing my teeth was my cue for my system to go like, okay, let's go. We're going now. Brush my teeth, put on my makeup, get dressed, and get my ass out the door. Okay, I would never eat breakfast at home. Get in the car, drive to work, and I probably would have checked my email at least once to see if anything came in the night before. In my industry, not too many things did. You'd have the odd client that would kind of email you at weird hours, but usually not too much came in if I checked it before bed and then first thing in the morning, which is awful. But I would have checked my email at least once before I left the house. But I for sure would have at least checked my phone before I left the house, meaning like, I would wake up with the phone beside me on the bed. So I would sleep with the phone beside me. The alarm was my phone. And then so when I'm setting off my alarm, I probably would have reached and had a quick scroll before I actually got out of bed. Again, I probably would have been like, oh, Instagram's your wake up call before you brush your teeth. Like, I would have scrolled and let my head get consumed with a bunch of crap that was not only like stress inducing, but also completely irrelevant to the productivity of my day. Right? So I'd go check if I have any DMs, go check if who is posting what. Like, I'd probably give myself a quick scroll. Again, shoot up cortisol even more in my body first thing in the morning. Then keep getting ready, and then again, get out the door, get in the car, drive to work. And then my whole drive to work would usually be filled, like, couldn't do it in silence, had to always have a podcast or some music playing. At that point in my life, probably was a lot of hip hop, some R&B, so like music that isn't exactly regulating in any way, shape, or form. If anything, it's just adding to the fight or flight. So I'd have that pumping. And then when I get to work, get there, get into my office, put everything down, get everything prepped for our early morning meeting, check my messages, check what needs to be done. and then jump into a meeting right away. Okay, if you're an executive who's craving more clarity, happiness, and a sense of real inner peace in your day to day, make sure you hit follow so you never miss an episode. This show is here to help you lead, succeed, and actually feel good while doing it. And if something resonates today, give it a like and share it with someone else who could use a little bit more calm in their life too. Again, haven't had any breakfast. I would maybe have some water by then, or I at least would fill up my water bottle, whether I probably drank some before I left, but like the only like nourishment my body would have gotten from me in the morning would have been water and a pee break. Like I would have let myself go to the bathroom. But other than that, no nourishment, some water and a pee break, and then getting myself ready. So then I'd get to the office, get into our first meeting, and it would just be like hit the ground running. What do we got to do? What do we got to get done? And again, a natural pace of getting business is like you're kind of just like, we need to make things happen. Let's do it. But my point is like I was providing no checkpoints of support, of regulation, of intention for the day. I was just flying by the seat of my pants. Okay. And then I would probably not eat till 1 or 2 o'clock. By that time, I'd be hangry. So, I would notoriously skip breakfast. Never been a big coffee drinker, maybe a matcha or something like that. Never really, I tried energy drinks for a while, but they didn't really do anything for me. It was probably more the sugar than anything, but I would just skip lunch and again, run on pure adrenaline and fumes. For the whole morning. And then maybe by 1 or 2 p.m., I'd maybe eat my lunch. And, I talked about it in the earlier episode about my relationship with food. It would 9 times out of 10 be something we order in. So whether that be fast food or just like restaurant food, which would be a little bit better, but we all know like restaurant food isn't made for dietary, support. It's made to taste good. So you're not the best quality food that I'm putting into my body. And that would give me a little bit of pep. But then what would happen is I would have an afternoon crash. So I'd eat, my glucose levels would shoot up through the roof. And then shortly after that, I would crash. And again, because I was like living off of carbs and sugar. So whatever I was eating wasn't protein focused. It wasn't like an easy salad. I was so dysregulated and so stuck in fight or flight. I was like, I need things to make me feel good. So like I mentioned in the food episode, I was living off sugar and carbs. And so I'd eat this lunch and then it'd crash in the afternoon. Now it's 3 o'clock. Okay. Probably still have to work till about 6. Or depending, like at where I was working before, we had shifts. I was either working like a 9 to a 6 or like an 8:30 to a 6 or like a noon to an 8 because we were open later. But let's say this is like a normal early morning shift. I would crash. And I kid you not, there were a couple times where I had to go out to my desk or go out to my car to have a nap because I could not keep my eyes open. I was like at my desk, eyes like fluttering, like trying to stay awake, head bobbing, and my office was glass. I was like, if anyone sees this, I'm going to be mortified. So there were a couple times where I had a bit of a break and I was like, I just got to run out to my car for a bit. And I would go sit in the back seat because the windows were tinted and I would lay down and have a quick like 10-minute snooze. There's a handful of times I did that. And I mean, it just goes to show like my body couldn't even sustain staying up through an afternoon because again, running on just fumes, not giving it any type of support to output at the level that I was, it was just like constantly just like wringing my body to get more and more out of it. And my body's going, you're not refueling me in any way, shape, or form. You're sleep shit, you're not eating properly, you're overthinking everything. Like I was just draining the energy from my system on all levels. So yeah, I would sometimes have to go and sneak out for a nap, which is like so embarrassing, and when I say it's embarrassing, if you're going through that, I'm not doing that to shame you. I'm just saying that at the time I felt mortified like I would have been so embarrassed to tell anyone that I had to go out and sleep. Do you mean? When really it was coming from a place of lack of support and being completely under-resourced internally. But yeah, I just remember some days where it was just felt nearly impossible. So I'd have a quick little snooze in the car, come back in, like kind of re-energize myself. And then I'd remember by like that point in the day, it would be like all brain fog, overthinking, clicking the same emails over and over, like rereading the same emails over and over. And it's like my energy was so scattered and depleted. It's like unless I really had a client or something in front of me I directly had to work, it was like I had this kind of like a glaze over top of me. And it's like I was scanning the computer and my files for things to do, but it's like I wasn't sharp enough to even figure out what needed to be done in that moment because by that time, again, my brain was just gassed. And so unless it was something very obvious in front of me that I needed to get working on or put out right away, it was just really inefficient, like super inefficient. And like, I say that this happened after my afternoon crash. It probably even started a little bit earlier in the day before I ate because again, I've been running on fumes. And so I would just have to kind of like piece together what I could and be like, all right, well, I did what I needed to do. If there's anything urgent here, someone will tell me, but like I don't even have the wherewithal to know what's actually important right now because my brain can't even like compute that properly. And it was, I don't know if you guys have ever felt where it's like you're in your body, but you're not really present. You're like, I'm here, I'm floating around, I'm talking to people. But inside, for me, it was like a pressure cooker. And I am naturally more anxious and I've always been a high achiever, but my high achievement comes with a tone of anxiety. And for me, that shows up in my chest, that shows up in my stomach, my digestion issues, shortness of breath. And then, I just feel like kind of like again, a pressure cooker, like I'm about to combust at any time, but I'm also really good at just like keeping this front on where it's like, I can put on a show and I can put it on and I can be charismatic and you're not going to even know that I'm one step away from completely losing my shit right now. Like I was a pro. I was a pro at that. Okay. So then as I'm going through this day on fumes and adrenaline, it's like every conversation is a little bit like a ticking time bomb. Okay. It's like, what exactly do you need to tell me? Tell me it right now. Like, I don't have capacity for small talk. I don't have capacity for this. Tell me what needs to be done for the job. I will get it done. Boom, bada bing, blah. Right? Like I was just, again, moving around like I was ready to combust all the time. And so, once I got near the end of my days and I'm exhausted and I'm ready to leave, ironically, I would have a hard time leaving because my body was so accustomed to being in this state all the time. It's like, well, what if I leave? What am I going to do? I'm not going to go home and do anything. I might as well just stay and hang out here longer. So a lot of the time I would like kind of stay and find more things to work on. Or my brain would go, oh, you don't like just stay and get this done now. What's the big deal? And very quickly I started to exchange like any personal life I had at the time for more hours at work. And not because anyone made me. It was because my nervous system equated that busyness and being at work to safety. Because I was achieving, I was making good money, I was a part of this great team. So it was like, well, why do we need to go home? Just stay here and work longer. And so like I would just find more things to do, even though I wanted to leave. It was this very what's the right word? Like opposite pulls happening. My body wanted to go home and rest and be like, can we just get out of here? And my mind goes, well, if we go home, what are we going to do? You're just going to lay there and you're not going to be productive. So like you might as well just stay and do some more. Like it was so conflicting. One of the biggest struggles for high achievers is they can't tell whether they're burnt out or just overly tired. That's why I created the high performer stress assessment, which will assess exactly what your mind and body are struggling with and what you need to start feeling more balanced, grounded, and happy ASAP. It only takes 2 minutes to complete and you can find the link in the show notes below. Eventually I would leave and I remember I'd be like, hey, is everyone good? Anyone need anything from me? Like I double check like 3 times, triple check. Does anyone need anything from me before I go? Just like, here's your last chance. And everyone's looking at me like, get out of here, Minty. Like, you've already been here all day. Like, it's okay, go. We have it under control. But again, that was my fight or flight being like, what if something happens? What if they need me? I could just stay. So I'd get through this day on fumes, and then I'd head home. And at that time in my life, I would really keep my personal life busy as well too. Even though I was exhausted, um, I would always have a lot of things on the go. So I would be having lots of dinners with the girls. I would hang out with the guys at the dealership a lot. They were like my brothers, so we'd be going out a lot. Like I just always was staying busy, mainly because I couldn't sit at home in silence, and I was single at this time. So going home just meant I would sit there and sit on the couch and do what? Nothing, because it's like, you guys know, once you hit that couch, it's like you're not getting up. It's like you become one with the couch because, again, the body's like, thank God she actually laid down for a second, and then you're not getting anywhere, and then you're getting lost in your phone and getting lost in Netflix, and both at the same time. Put on a movie to watch, and you're scrolling your phone while you're watching the movie. So it was either that or finding something to keep me occupied with. Again, a dinner, a walk, whatever it was. Some of them were healthier things, but the point is I couldn't sit still. I had to always be doing something, and something that like kind of felt relatively productive. Like, again, whether it was I need to go get my steps in, or I need to go meet this person to make it happen, or I got asked to participate in this, and so I don't want to let this person down, so I'll go do it. So I just had to always stay busy. And then again, a lot of the time I'd be in those rooms or with those people, and I wouldn't fully be there. I'm like, yeah, I'm sitting here at the table with you. I'm across the dinner table from you, but like I'm not fully here because I'm gassed. I have no energy. I don't even know what it feels like to be present anymore. So I'm sitting here having conversations, and things are just like passing me, passing me, passing me, passing me. And then like I'm slightly engaged. I'm also slightly irritable and like don't have a lot of patience for people and their crap. So it's like if I'm having dinner with a girlfriend and she's coming to me for empathy, it's like I had a little bit of empathy, but then I'm also like, hey man, like what are you gonna do about it? Like a little bit of a tough cookie. And there's nothing wrong with that, but a lot of the times at that point in my life, that tough cookiness came from a place of like lacking compassion for anyone else because I didn't have it for myself at that time. It wasn't coming from a place of like, hey, I think you need to hear this from a place of love. It was like, man, so what are you going to do about it? I was just so headstrong. And again, my battery was so empty. It's like when you're in that state, you're just afraid wire. Just anything can set you off. So when you're interacting with people, they pick up on how short, tempered you are. And so I'd stay busy and I'd do all these things and again, not even be present for it. And then when I'd get home, I'd like crash, and like, again, put on some sweats, get on the couch, start scrolling. And then I'd usually put something like super overstimulating on. Like at that time, I would have been watching like Narcos. I was a sucker for like gangster movies and all that stuff. And don't get me wrong, I still like that stuff now. However, going to sleep to that stuff, oh no, 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 no. For instance, I'll talk about this in the next one, but like I can't watch that stuff before bed now because it fucks with my sleep. Well, at that time, it was also fucking with my sleep. Swearing a lot today. Sorry, guys. It was also messing with my sleep. However, I didn't know any better. And because I was in fight or flight all day, I was in this like a bear's chasing me mode all day. Like watching the crime shows helped me stay in that state. It was comfortable. And I'd be like, oh, but it's fascinating and it's really interesting. And it's the only thing that keeps me engaged. Yeah, no. The reason I liked it so much was because it kept me in that fight or flight state. So I would binge watch before bed these gangster shows and these true crime shows, and I'd go to sleep to that and I'd fall asleep to that. And so I'd fall asleep on the couch. I'd eventually bring myself to the bedroom, put my phone down beside the bed, maybe have a quick scroll. And like, I would also like fight to go to sleep, even though I was so exhausted. It'd be like, one more scroll, one more scroll, one more scroll. And so I'd be laying in bed, looking at my phone, being, one more scroll, one more scroll. Meanwhile, my eyes are like barely open. I can feel how heavy my body is, but I'm addicted to scrolling. I'd eventually put it down, put my phone down, set my alarm, shut off my lights, go to sleep probably at that time around 11:30, and then wake up at 3 a.m. like clockwork. A few hours of rest is all my body felt safe to give me because, again, don't forget, we wake up in the middle of the night. There's a few different reasons you can do that. You could have an actual sleeping disorder. But for me, it was my body said, if you lay down for more than 4 hours, that means the bear is going to get us. You're not being productive. You're not, nope, 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 nope. So we're going to wake you up at 3 o'clock. So I would have a cortisol spike at 3 a.m. and I'd be wide awake, laying there, looking around, thinking about work, putting notes into my phone about things I need to remember to do tomorrow, right? Checking, looking at emails back. Oh, did I send this? How did I say this? And because my phone is by my bed, I would pick it up and check these things because it's like, I just need to get this out of my brain. And it's the worst thing you can do because as soon as you pick up that phone, everything turns on. Now your body goes, oh, light. Okay, so let's start creating serotonin. That's the hormone that wakes the body up. Oh, there's light coming into the eyes. That must mean we should wake up now. So then it's giving all these mixed cues to your body. It's 3 a.m. I'd scroll, I'd scroll, I'd scroll. And then I wouldn't fall back asleep till maybe 5. And then guess what? I got to be up at 7:30 again. So then I'd finally start to fall asleep, let's say 5:30. And then by the time 7:30 hits, well, no wonder it's so hard to wake up to my first alarm. It's because I've only been sleeping for 2.5 hours and I'm breaking a new cycle of sleep, right? And this was my cycle for years. Years and years and years, okay? And then what would happen is on the weekends, in my old job, I would work every other weekend because we sometimes work Saturdays. So I'd work a Saturday, then have a 3-day weekend, work a Saturday, then have a 3-day weekend. So that also wasn't necessarily supportive to the cycle I was in. But when I did have the weekends, either like if I had a 3-day weekend, I was trying to escape. So I was like, get me on a plane somewhere. Let's take a trip to the mountains. Actually, at that time, I wasn't even going to the mountains. I was just looking for quick trips. Like, let's go to LA. Let's go to Vegas. Let's go to Toronto. Like, I'd try to get out of the city. Or they'd be jam-packed with all the errands I couldn't get done on the other weekends because I'd only have one day off and I'd be exhausted. But the point is, those 3-day weekends were never filled with actual things that were nourishing or supportive to me. Again, it was just more productivity. What do you need to get done for the house? What do you need to get done for your wardrobe? What do you need to get done for it was all about optimizing productivity. And mind you, during this time, this is when dance started to really fade out of my life. And for any of you guys that have been following me for a while, I was a semi-professional dancer throughout my 20s. I've been dancing since I was a kid. And so I was part of a crew called the Fly Girls, all-female hip-hop and dance crew. And so we would open for artists and, different things throughout North America. We'd compete. And once I had started working there after a few years, dance pretty much faded out of my life because I just got so tied down with work. And I was in this new, business woman phase of my life that I stopped doing that. And I still loved it. I knew I loved it, but I wasn't making time for it. And then because of that, again, my body started to change, started to gain more weight. I was just really inflamed, really swollen all the time. And again, because my movement had went down and, because I was, had high cortisol because I was stressed all the time. And also, I didn't have a lot of joy in my life at that time. Like, I wasn't making time for the things that genuinely brought me joy. Yeah, a trip is fun, don't get me wrong. But those trips weren't there to be like, oh, let's go have fun and be present in the moment into. Those trips were there to escape. It's a very different thing, right? Like, my girlfriend and Carrie and I at that time would probably go on a tropical vacation twice a year. We'd usually go sometime in the fall and then sometime about, February. And we would go and lay on the beach all day and do nothing. Like, I would get up. She'd need shade. I wouldn't. But we'd get up. We'd get on the beach at 8 o'clock and I would lay in that sun and fucking bake till 5 p.m. Like, I'm soaking everything up. mainly because I had no energy. Like, again, the point of those trips was to escape. They weren't to be like, let's go explore the country and see how the people live and have different foods. No, it was put me on a beautiful resort, put me oceanfront, give me a chair. That's all the capacity I have within me for this vacation, right? So even when I was doing those or escaping away on the weekends, it was not to, like, go live life. It was not to, like, live and enjoy things. It was purely just to break me out of this very exhausting prison I had built for myself. And when I say prison, I don't mean the external circumstances. I meant the mental prison I had put myself in, because my mind was always consumed with things that actually weren't for me. I was constantly worrying about what the client needed, what my colleagues needed, what the business needed, what my friends needed, and it always came from a really good place, but it all those things distracted me enough that I never had to actually ask, like, what does Mintu need? And again, when you've been, you know, as high achievers, most of our survival strategies have been like, we learned that we come last and not from a bad place. But as kids, something happened. We grew up in an environment where it's like, let's make sure everyone else is okay first. And if everyone else is okay, then that means I can be okay. Right. So if everyone else is okay, then I can be okay. And then that carries into adult life. And so now everyone gets taken care of before you. And then even when you maybe do have space to take care of yourself, you don't even know how to do it, right? Like it's just such a foreign concept for you. And that's why people end up resentful towards their jobs. That's why people end up burnt out, right? Is because you don't know how to support the system. So when I refer back to this mental prison is, again, I was living off of fumes and adrenaline, constantly worrying, constantly overthinking, no idea how to be present, had stopped experiencing real joy in my life because it's like, who has time or space for that? I don't even know how to create joy in my life. It's been just work for so long. I started to lose fulfillment. I started to question, is this it? Like, is this what I really worked so hard for, was to wake up with a bunch of dread and live in this hamster wheel of exhaustion and burnout all the time? Like, yeah, my bank account's getting big. I got a brand new Benz every single year, nice perk of the job. I got an incredible closet. I work with great people, don't get me wrong, but it's like at the end of the day, you realize those things don't actually fulfill you. Like, they're nice to have, don't get me wrong, and I still love those things. I still love the cars, I still love the clothes, all of that, but they don't nourish you. If you're a high achiever, you probably feel the exhaustion that comes with always pushing and carrying the load. And here's the honest truth: burnout doesn't fix itself by working harder or pushing more. You're not meant to just survive your success. You're someone who leads with impact and depth and intention, and you deserve to feel calm and connected while doing it. So imagine showing up present for your work and your personal relationships, feeling calm and grounded instead of constantly stretched. If that's what you want, this is exactly what we do in the Higher Alignment program. Book your assessment call through the link in the show notes, and let's get you back to balance and back to feeling like yourself again. And I was talking to a client about how, like, when you're in a high performance position, you're in constant output mode all day. So you're giving and giving and giving and giving and giving, but nothing's actually coming back to you to replenish what you're giving out. A lot of us think that money is going to replenish that, right? Like, that's why I did my last job for a decade, was because of the money. If I wouldn't have gotten paid what I did, I wouldn't have been there that long, right? So we think that money is going to be enough to replenish all this energy that we're giving out. And yes, obviously money buys you options and freedoms and pays for your shelter and your food and your clothing, of course. But at the core of it, money is not actually a human need. Like, if you go to like a Maslow's hierarchy of needs, what's on there? Food, shelter, sex, human connection. Like, I can't remember the whole thing right now, but like, money is nowhere listed on that. Money can get you a lot of those things, but when we wonder why we get to this point of constant output, and then when it comes back, not feeling the fulfillment of, or the not feeling an equal return of what we gave out, it's because of that, right? So I just remember feeling like You work so hard to create this life for yourself, yet you sit here and question, is this it? And then I would shame myself after and be like, well, shame on you for even asking that question because most people would kill to be in this position. Most people would kill to have the freedom that you have right now. And it's like freedom on one aspect because I was financially good, but not freedom on a lot of other aspects because, like, I couldn't get away from my work for more than a week at a time. And yeah, I think by the end of it, I had 3 weeks of vacation. But if I left for more than a week, like, you don't get real vacation where I was at because if I left, my partner would just have to work double. If my partner left, I would just have to work double. So you're just making up the time. But so, like, I couldn't leave for more than a week at a time because that would have been too much stress on my partner. And then when I did leave, again, it was I was checking my phone all the time on vacation. I was checking my email every 30 minutes, even when I didn't need to. Like, my partner was completely capable of handling everything. I'd be laying on the beach, refresh, refresh, refresh. Not because I had something important coming through, but because I was addicted to checking my email. I didn't know who I was without it. So, like, again, whether I'd be at home after when I got home from a day of work or on vacation, I was constantly in my email every 20 to 30 minutes, just looking for something. Again, being on high alert, being on fight or flight. What if anything comes through? So, like, when you're living in that state, how present can you be? You can't. And when you're not present, guess what? Time and life pass you by so quick. And then one day you look up and be like, how did it get here? And that's what I felt like. And I also felt at that time like very alone. I was single, but I would come home and I'd give myself to this job all day long. And then I'd lay there in bed and I'd be like, what am I doing this for? Like, who am I doing this for? I feel so lonely. I can't complain to many people about this because A, I want to be strong. I don't want it to seem like this great job and but being single is getting to me, and it absolutely was. I felt so lonely, but it's like I could only say that. I don't even know if I really admitted that to anyone because I just wanted to act like it didn't bother me, but it did. I was so lonely, and some of those nights I would cry and cry because I felt so alone. And I remember thinking, like, my neighbors probably think I'm being murdered in here because my crying was so loud and so ugly, but I just couldn't keep it anymore. Like, again, it was so confusing because it's like I'm doing everything everyone tells me to. I'm whether it be doing spiritual work, whether it be, again, working my ass off, whatever it was, like, I was doing everything everyone told me to, and so why do I still feel this way? And you feel broken. You feel lonely, you feel broken, and it's just who do you feel like you can talk to when you're wearing this mask all day long, which is what I was doing, which is, if I'm being honest, that's what most people in corporate are doing. You're just wearing a mask and you think that this is just what you have to do to be productive. This is just how you are. And I'm telling you, it's not what you need to do to be productive. And it's not just who you are. You're not just an anxious, neurotic person. That's a learned behavior. And do both those things serve you? Does being a little anxious and neurotic serve you at times? Yes. Does being a workaholic support you at times? Yes. Does keeping your composure serve you at times? Yes, absolutely, it all does. But when that's the only speed you operate at, guess what? It quickly becomes hollow and empty and lonely, and that's how I felt. I felt like no one would understand how I was living or how I was feeling. And the other part of it too was like I was one of like I worked with 95% men. There are only a couple women on the management team. There's only 2 women, me and one other lady. And I was the only single young one. Everyone else was married, um, and had kids, and it was just me. Um, and that was also something that I struggled with. Like, it's just like being alone. You have to navigate and carry a lot of these things yourself. And so it's like, well, who do you talk to about it? And then you don't want to go complain to your friends who are making half, if not less, the amount of money than you are. And I also just didn't want to appear weak. Like, I didn't want to appear weak, like I couldn't handle it. And so it just isolated me even further. And then on top of that, I don't have the capacity to like navigate what's really going on inside, you know? So my days at that time were long and daunting. And you know what's also interesting about sharing this now? It's like I'm very open about saying like I myself have never really been through any really super, super tragic things, I would say. Like my father did pass away a couple years ago. It was after that period of my life. Um, and my parents had a really hard story. If you haven't listened to me telling the story of my burnout and how my parents escaped a communist country to come here, like they went through a lot. But I looked over my life, like I didn't really have any like real tough hardships. And so sometimes even sharing that when you come from that life, you're like, well, who am I to complain? But the reality is it's not about like whose hardship is worse or not. It's just about being honest about what you're feeling inside. And that's why I try and do this now is because again, I was really lonely and I wouldn't say depressed, but just confused about life. And at some point just questioned again in my 30s, in my prime, like, can I keep doing this? Like, is this even worth it? You know? And it's not a fun place to be when you have so much life ahead of you and you still have so much to give, but the way you're doing it, just isn't sustainable or working anymore. So that was a day in the life of Mintu back then. And so if any of you can relate to it, you're gonna have to tune into next week's episode because I'm gonna tell you why it doesn't have to be that way. And if you are living life this way right now, it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's not a sign that you've failed. It's a sign that it's time for a new strategy, right? Like every business, the degree to which that business can be successful is the degree to which their systems are in place. And they have strong systems. The strength of your systems determines the strength of your business. It's the same thing with us. The quality of your life determines on where your nervous system is at, right? And at that time, my nervous system was fried. It was tapped. I didn't know how to support it. I didn't even know it was a thing, right? So I was actually working against my nervous system versus now I work with it. So when you tune into the next episode, I'm going to tell you how working with it can change your life and what my day-to-day looks like now versus how it did then. So I'll see you in the next episode.